Matthew chapter 14. At that time, Herod heard the reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, "This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead. That is why there are miraculous powers at work in him." Now Herod had arrested John, bound him, and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered him a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for them and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, she asked for the head of John the Baptist. Herod was distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guest, he ordered that her request be granted and had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took John's body and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat to a solitary place. On hearing this, the crowds followed him on foot from all the towns. When Jesus landed, he saw a large crowd, and he had compassion on them and healed their sick. When evening came, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place. Send the people away so they can go to the villages and buy some food." "They do not need to go away," Jesus answered. "You give them something to eat. We have here only 5 loaves of bread, and 2 fish." Jesus ordered that all the people sit on the grass. And then he took the loaves and the fish, looked up to heaven, and gave thanks. He broke the loaves and gave them to his disciples, who gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples went and picked up 12 baskets of food that was left over, of pieces that were left over. The number of the men, of those who ate, was 5,000 men, in addition to the women and the children. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into a boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. When evening came, Jesus was there alone, but the boat was already a considerable distance away from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. About the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. And when the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost!" they cried. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you on the water," Peter replied. "Come," said Jesus. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" When they climbed on board, the wind died down. Then everyone who was in the boat worshipped him. When they crossed over to the other side, they landed in Gennesaret. When they landed, the men of that town recognized Jesus, and they brought to him all their sick, and begged him just to let the sick touch the edge of his garment. And all who touched him were healed.